Only Igbo man can fix Nigeria. It is only Igbo man that has what it takes to fix Nigeria. I know this is a raw truth that no one wants to hear, but all of them know within themselves that it is true. Everyone knows within himself that what I'm saying is true. Just imagine such a man, the only man that survived 3 years battle without food, the only man that started a 3 years battle without anything, but yet indirectly won the battle. Of which, after the battle, he started life again with 20 pounds. In just like a twinkle of in a twinkle of an eye, he turned that 20 pounds to billions of dollars. The only man that makes something out of nothing. The only man you can see everywhere in the world. The only man that the whole wide world is afraid of, especially the Western world. My dear, can't you respect that person? Can't you think that that person has something, I don't know how to let you know. In fact, you know. I don't need to explain everything, for you. So, in a nutshell, it is only Igbo man can fix Nigeria. But it is quite unfortunate that they are no longer with you, Nigeria. Igbo man is a blessing to the world. They are wonder-making set of people, and I'm proud of them.
The Igbos claim the Hausa population has made a conscious decision to not allow for an Igbo person to rule the country again. This statement is on the lips of every Igbo person I've ever encountered. And the fact is, the only time an Igbo man was called president of Nigeria was when Nigeria became a republic in 1963 and we're in a transition phase. President Nnamdi Azikiwe was only a ceremonial president, whereas Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa held executive power, which means no Igbo man has ever run in an election and been elected as executive president of Nigeria in the history of the country. No Igbo man, not one. The Nigerian presidency has largely rotated between the north, mostly the Hausa and the Fulanese, and the southwest, the Yoruba people. Peter Obi of the Labour Party is so far the only 100% Igbo presidential candidate who gained significant followership in their elections in 2023. And even with that, ladies and gentlemen, the Labour Party had 25.4% of the votes. The agitation for a separate country is real. The push by the Igbos to break away from Nigeria due to their observance that the political leadership of the country has targeted them is very real. Their distrust of the political setup of Nigeria goes as far as abbreviating the Naira to mean never an Igbo rule again. This is serious stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Some Igbos actually believe that the Nigerian Naira currency was named after them. Never an Igbo rule again. They make claims like they are sidelined in every aspect of federal government positions, including in the military, government roles, including ministerial roles, and so on and so forth. And my research shows that by 2015, Igbos constituted approximately 18.5% of Nigeria's federal civil service workforce. Meanwhile, the core Igbo state formed 3% of Nigeria's land, and the broader cessationist claim up to 18% of Nigeria's land area. Their population is like the population of Ghana, 35 million people, representing 15.2% of Nigeria's total population, with one dream in mind: the Republic of Biafra. What do you make of this, ladies and gentlemen? Is there a chance for Biafra to be a country? And could that help Nigeria ultimately to have a more manageable country? Could other tribes demand for their separation if that should happen? Will it help the Republic of Nigeria?
In your book, Ecutocracy, which promotes diversity-based democracy, and you spoke against Igbo marginalization in Lagos State. Do you think Igbos are marginalized in Lagos?
No, I never spoke against Igbo. I said Igbo marginalization in Nigeria as a whole. as a whole, because, you know, and not only the Igbos, also the minorities. Because when an Igbo man or minority, the South or the North Central people, even some minority in the Northeast, when they want to contest, people don't see them as serious. They don't see them as substantial. But so a democracy should not be majority system, because a majority system is a winner take all. Okay, because if you are going to compare, if you're going to compare 6 and 4, 6 is a majority, and you want 6 and 4 to contest, that's like 4 is like 0 when you are comparing 6 to 4. But to do that comparison properly, you need to break like 6. You can break the 6 into 3 and break the 4 into 2 and use the lowest common factor to do the comparison. That's mathematics.
So do you see an Igbo man becoming a president anytime soon in Nigeria?
It's possible. I'm not really that, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough task, depending on who the opposition is, because of this discrimination and, you know, and marginalization that is going on. But it's possible. It's very, very possible.
What's your assessment of the President Bola Tinubu's government so far in their performance?
Well, I mean, it's on both sides. He's doing some kind of, you see, you cannot have 100%. Nobody can have 100%. I can say that in some area he tried, but I want him to focus on the less privileged. The problem of the less privileged. You know, the poor people are suffering. There is no doubt. And whoever is being taking care of poor people, he should focus more on it and practice grassroots governance. Grassroots governance. If you practice grassroots, all the governors too, they should practice grassroots governance. When you practice grassroots governance, there will be less problem on the people.
Do you think the country is on the right trajectory in the hands with the Tinubu at the end of affairs?
Yeah, I can say to some extent it is, and to some extent there are problems, deviations problem. Like I just told you, all right, now the country needs to start focusing on how to acquire technology. You know, and you acquire all those important technology, either you buy it, you seek for it, or you steal it. You steal it. I'm talking about government stealing. There's no prosecution in government stealing. You steal it.
When you hear,
the government can do an assessment on their own. Please, let me say this. All the governors and the government, the federal government, should do an assessment on their own. Let me give you a definition of a successful governance. A successful governance is that government that is able to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor in basic needs of the people. I repeat, a successful government is that is able to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor in basic needs of the people. That is why the government will tax the rich people to provide amenities for the poor people. So when you take the basic needs of the people, housing, food, security, you take about, housing, food, security, and health. If you take those one, you do the assessment yourself. Are you able to bridge the gap? Because a rich man don't need the government for health, for food. They can afford to buy themselves food. They can afford to go to London or buy medication. I know people who have died just because of what? Inability to buy augmentin. Augmentin in Nigeria now, I understand it's about 3,000-5,000 naira. And how many people can afford it? How many? So
let me ask you quickly. Let me ask you quickly. You hear Mr. Peter Obi say that he's just going to run for one term if he wins, if he becomes the president, and the debate about rotation and zoning. What is in your book you talk about balancing and carrying everyone along. What do you think about the balance of power, rotational presidency, and how issues of equity and equitable distribution of
rotational presidency is undemocratic. Let me just give you, maybe I may be able to explain it in 3 minutes, in 1 minute for you. You see, we did a system. Okay, let me give you an example. Supposing we have 2 parties, for example, let every state bring two candidates that are competent to rule Nigeria. 2 from Lagos, 2 from this, 2 from this. Now, let all Nigerians do an assessment of the 2 people. Now, let's say, for example, we look at the assessment. The people of Lagos State may decide to do the assessment of Lagos, the 2 candidates. They may decide to go for A in Lagos State. That means A wins Lagos State point. They go do the assessment of Ogun State. They may decide to support B in Ogun State. That means B candidate in Ogun State wins Lagos point. They may do the assessment of Sokoto. In Sokoto, they may decide to go for A. That means A candidate in Sokoto wins Lagos point. So all those candidates, they have 36 points to get to win, because there are 36 states in Nigeria. So let's say a candidate from Sokoto, for example, wins 30 points, 30 states. You give it 30 states. Then you look at how many states that are won by other candidates in their various something. So the candidate that won the highest number of states will be the president. In that case, every state is participating, every minority is relevant, every candidate is relevant. There will be peace. You can't rig election, because if I'm going to rig election in Lagos State, for example, that means the Sokoto people will not allow me to rig, because if they allow me to rig their state, they are reducing their opportunity. They are reducing their own opportunity to produce the president. You can't rig election. You have to go and seek cooperation. You cannot cause violence. If you're a tribalist that always cause trouble, the kind of system we have tribalists. They always campaign on tribal ground to cause trouble. So if you're a tribalist, you cannot win. You have to love Nigeria. You have to go out there and bring everybody together. That's what they call an equity system, a federal equity republic of Nigeria. There are other things built inside it, but just for these press purposes, that's the basic way to explain.